TK 101, the 5 o'clock work release program, live at the Pensacola Civic Center. We are at Music as a Weapon, and the party about to get started inside the Civic Center here. The doors will probably be opening at about 6 o'clock, and the bands start at 7 o'clock. In the meantime, it's been just a nut house in the east parking lot here at the Pensacola Civic Center, where they've been cranking it up since 2 o'clock. So we have a very special guest with us here on the 5 o'clock work release program this afternoon. One of the fastest fingers going. We've got Dan Donegan. He is the lead guitarist for Disturbed, and we're just very excited to have you back in Pensacola. Congratulations on Indestructible, the latest Music as a Weapon tour. 13 years of Disturbed. Now, you guys have had an incredible run as a favorite among metal fans, and it's hard to believe that through it all there's only been one change on bass a couple years ago with John coming on board and the band's personnel. What do you attribute that to?
We love what we do. Just hard work, and I mean, for the 13 years that we've had David, I've also been with Mike, our drummer, probably for 16 years. You know, so we just share the same work ethic. We just love to, you know, work hard and tour, and I think our passion for performing and being on stage is the drive for us. That's a lot of the motivation for us. I like coming off the road and writing new songs and going in the studio probably more than the other guys like being in the studio. I'm kind of the studio geek of the band. But the road, like I said, once we're on the stage, it's just such an addiction. It's hard to be away from it for too long.
Now, you mentioned that you like being in the studio. The one thing I would say that I've noticed that's different on the Indestructible album, Dan Donegan, the lead guitarist from Disturbed, is here with us today, is the fact that when you guys really burst onto the scene, you guys were kind of categorized as, as this new metal act. New metal is not known for its guitar solos, but on the Indestructible album, it's an album chock full of them. And there weren't so many on previous Disturbed albums. Talk to us about that process.
Well, when we first formed it in the mid-'90s, I mean, all of our material, there were solos and everything we did back then. And I think as we started developing our sound with David and trying to find out what it is, what our sound was going to be, now that we had a vocalist that came in and offered melody and a strong identity to his voice, we kind of steered away from that. We were still just like I said, just trying to figure out what our sound was. So we had gotten away from it, but the guys have always encouraged me to kind of bring that element back into our songs, and the more the songwriting and the evolution of the band, it just started going back in that direction, and with them encouraging me to do it more, this bulk of material just seemed like it lent itself to that. Joining forces and showing that that hard rock and heavy metal will always exist, and there's always a fan base for it. The vision for the tour was just to try to, throughout the years, try to bring together those forces and try to, build or bring a bigger production and hopefully keep on, moving it to the bigger rooms and bringing a bigger audience and putting on a bigger show. And this time around, we had the opportunity to work with the promoter John Reese, who is responsible for doing the Mayhem tour last year, and we built a great friendship with him, and we were both planning two separate tours actually, and then when he found out that we were going out as Music as a Weapon, he thought, let's see if he could jump on with us and bring the whole tattoo artist on the tour, the side stage bands, and Samsung and Red Bull, and he had all these sponsors lined up for his tour originally, so we said, might as well bring them on board. We got the Red Bull motocross guys that are doing certain cities. They're out there on their bikes, jumping ramps, doing flips, and all the craziness to it. And we thought, if we could keep it under a $40 ticket and give the kids a bigger show and give them more bang for their buck, then it'll be a great tour to come see. A lot of great bands.
And something very cool, Dan from Disturbed is our guest here on the work release program, TK 101 from the Civic Center this afternoon for Music as a Weapon. You don't often get the opportunity to own a copy of the show you're at unless you're doing it illegally usually. But fans are going to actually be able to get tonight's performance. Explain your bootlegging offer to fans and maybe those listening who can't make the concert tonight but would like to hear it.
Well, I think with this day and age and technology, you got to kind of keep on coming up with new creative ways to give the fans more. And I mean, usually when you play a show, somebody's going to have something from their camera phone on YouTube the next day anyways. Right. So we thought we might as well bring out a guy, an engineer with a mobile Pro Tools rig, and he'll record every show and give them a little bit better quality, give them a decent live mix of it, and make it available for the kids that either, like you said, whether they were here and they just want something, a memory of that, to have a copy of that, or for the kids that can't make it, they can at least get a taste of what it was like to be there. So something new, but we thought we'd try to offer that up to them.
So the process basically is you guys play the show, and then in about 2 or 3 days, what you guys do like a mix out on the show, and then in about 2 or 3 days they'll actually be able to get this from the Disturbed One website.
Yeah, I mean I think we try to keep it as close as we can within a couple days. You know, while the memory's still fresh in their heads, you know, I want them to come get it. So he'll do, you know, he'll just do a nice mix of it so it sounds better than a camera phone.
Right. Yeah, and you go to YouTube and you see so much, you know, I guess what you would call it, you know, pirated footage from concerts, and a lot of times it is from a cell phone. It doesn't look that good. If you want a first-rate recording of tonight's show, I'm going to go ahead and give you the address to find. That's bootlegs.disturbed1.com, and the Disturbed website is disturbed1.com, so you'll probably be able to find it there. Dan from Disturbed, the lead guitarist of the band, is with us here on the 5 o'clock work release program. You guys have always made it a point to play for your fans here on the Gulf Coast. I want to say, so, you know, once the first major label album came out, you guys were down here. We've seen you on every subsequent album, even a couple of times on some of the albums. Your fans down here really do appreciate it. Now, we were downtown here last night for the NCAA championship game at New York Knicks last night. We saw some of the crew, some of the motocross guys enjoying dinner in the game. Did you get a chance to get in here and enjoy the charms of the area?
This time we haven't. Our crew did come in a day early, and we were still in New Orleans, the rest of us. So
drinking absinthe, yeah, raising hell, doing Bourbon Street.
I drank probably everything but absinthe, and it's slowly coming back to me this afternoon, some of the memories that were lost this morning. But yeah, we tore it up. We had a good night last night.
Now, Dan, let me tell you what happens to us here in Pensacola. If bands are coming from the east, like say Jacksonville, Tampa, you know, it's a straight up good show. If bands are coming from New Orleans, we get the Hangover show. So what are we getting tonight?
Well, not all of us are hungover. I'm hungover. David stayed in last night after he had dinner or whatever, but you know, that's why I chose to be a guitar player. I can get away with you know, having a rough night and then just making sure I'm recovered by, you know, plus I'm Irish too, so I bounce back quick.
Yeah.
It's in my blood to go out and drink and make sure I can show up for work.
Well, since the first album in 1999, they have been one of our favorite bands over the years. Disturbed, back in Pensacola, and so thrilled to have them here on the Indestructible Tour, the Music as a Weapon show. Awesome, and just thrilled to be seeing you guys again this evening. Just a quick note, doors open in the Civic Center, 7 p.m. Party's going in the parking lot as we speak. A big thanks to all the bands, and let's get into more nonstop TK 101 rock. Crank up some Disturbed, and just a wicked little guitar solo from Dan on this song. This was the first single from the Indestructible album, Inside the Fire, on the 5 o'clock work release program. TK 101. Dan, thanks a million.